Okay, so let us start today's lecture. So in continuation of last class, am I audible to you? Um, am I audible and is the screen visible? Just unmute and tell. Is the screen visible and am I audible clearly?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. So we are seeing discrete Fourier transform, and we saw that discrete time Fourier transform is if you take a discrete signal, its Fourier representation is a discrete time Fourier transform, and that is continuous as well as periodic. And since it is periodic, we are bothered about only one period, which is repeating all the way. So in each period, you take some samples. You don't need all the omegas present in one period. So in one period, you will be taking small samples of frequencies. Um, so that makes the DFT. So if you're taking n samples of the frequencies, you get n point DFT. Okay. So as shown in this here, you can see that x e raised to j omega is xn e raised to minus j omega n, which is the discrete time for a transform. And x e raised to omega is continuous. So if you take n regular samples, so suppose that your x e raised to j omega is something like this. I'll just take the notation. So if you have something, say, suppose your x j omega is, suppose this is your x e raised to j omega, which is the dtft, and suppose it is something like this. This gets repeated from 0 to 2 pi because you are considering omega here, which is the angular frequency, and it gets repeated in the interval 0 to 2 pi. Now, these are several samples. We have several samples. Let there be n samples, 0, 1, 2, 3, etc. up to n minus 1. So the total samples are, you have n total n samples, starting from omega 0, omega 1, like that up to omega n minus 1. Okay. So what will be the value of the first, say this sample, omega 1? Here you have 2 pi values. Here you have 0 to 2 pi. Omega is from 0 to 2 pi. So what will be the each division? Each division will be 2 pi by n because you have n divisions. So this omega 1 will be 2 pi by n. So that is what is written here. Omega 1 is 2 pi by n. Omega 1 is 2 pi by n. Okay. And what will be the kth sample if you take some kth sample in between? What will be that value? Omega k, it will be 2 pi by n, which is the division, one division multiplied by k division. So 2 pi by n into k will be the kth sample. So x e raised to j omega, it is a continuous and periodic signal. And if you want just one period, if you take one period and take n samples from that, it becomes your discrete Fourier transform, and it can be represented as capital Xk equal to xn e raised to minus, instead of minus j omega n, your omega become e raised to minus j pi 2 pi kn. Omega, instead of omega you have 2 pi by n into k, because omega is now discrete. It is basically omega k. So for a particular xk, you can find, sorry, for xn, for any xn, you can find The DFT is for different values xk as sigma xn e raised to minus j2 pi by k. Now, e raised to minus j2 pi by n is normally represented as wn. We were discussing about that last class. So e raised to minus j2 pi by n into kn can be written as wn raised to kn. So this equation can also be written as sigma xn e instead of e raised to minus j2 pi by n, we can write it as w n raised to k, small k, small n. So our n varies from 0 to infinity. So this is the equation for discrete Fourier transform. Okay. Now, what is the magnitude of xk? So xk is basically, what is xk? It is the sampled version of a single period of discrete time Fourier transform. So you have discrete time Fourier transform. From that you take one period, say 0 to 2 pi, and you sample it, then you get different values. For 0 you have some value here, for 1 you have some value here. These are discrete values, and that form the xk, which is the discrete Fourier transform. Now you can find the magnitude as well as phase of this signal. Okay. Let us find, say, if xn is 100, represented like this, represent that your time index is 0 here. That is, the signal is at 0 you have 1, at 1 you have 0, at 2 you have 1 again, at 3 again you have 1. Now, what happens if you find the discrete Fourier transform for this? Okay, let us try to find. Xk is sigma xn wn raised to kn okay. So let us first find x of 0. That is the first sequence of so if xn is like this, xn xk, capital Xk, which is the frequency domain representation, or DFT, will also be having 4 values. Let us find which are the 4 values. 0, 1, 2, 3. This is xk. We are going to plot it as we find it. So x0 is sigma xn wn is e raised to minus j2 pi, and we will write it as e raised to minus j2 pi by capital N into kn, and k is 0 here, so k is 0. So this, all this term, as k is 0, all these terms for different values of n will become 1. So this become 1 plus 4x n equal to 0 to infinity, for n equal to 0 to infinity, as n equal to 0, this become 1 into e raised to 0 1, plus as n equal to 1, this become 0 into 1, plus n equal to 2, this become 1 into 1 plus n equal to 2, 0, 1, 2, 3, x of 3 is 1, 1 into again 1. So this become 3. X of 0 is 3. Similarly, you can find say x of 1. How will you find x of 1? Okay, before that, what is capital N? Capital N is 4 here, right? You have 3 points, and 0 to n minus 1, that is 0 to 3. So if you are taking 4-point DFT for this, you are having capital N equal to 4. So basically your Wn, what will be your Wn? Your Wn will be e raised to minus j 2 pi by 4 into kn, because n equal to 4. The same as e raised to minus j pi by 2 into kn. So this we will make use of here. So this equation for x of 1, what will be x of 1? Sigma xn e raised to minus j2 pi by kn into k become 1 now. So I'll write this as xn e raised to minus j pi by 2 into k is basically 1. So k is 1, n takes different values. So n is varying from 0 to infinity. So let us give different values for this. As n equal to 0, this become e raised to minus, again e raised to 0. This is 1, and xn become x0 is 1. So you have this 1 value, plus as n equal to 1, you have x0 equal to, what is this x0? X0 is, sorry, x of 1 is 0. So that 0 into something become 0 again. And for n equal to 2, you have x of n equal to 1. So 1 into, when n equal to 1, this become e raised to minus j pi by 2. What is e raised to j pi by 2? Cos pi by 2 plus j sine pi by 2. So that will be cos pi by 2 minus j sine pi by 2. That will be minus 1, right? Minus j. Am I right? If I do anything wrong, please tell. This you can write as cos pi by 2 plus j sine pi by 2. So cos pi by 2 is 0, and minus j sine pi by 2 is, sine pi by 2 is 1. So that become minus j plus next sample x of 3, that is 1 into n become 3. This is e raised to minus j, e raised to minus j pi by 2 or 3 pi by 2, e raised to minus j 3 pi by 2. What is e raised to minus j 3 pi by 2? This you can write as cos pi by 2 cos 3 pi by 2 minus cos minus theta is minus, cos minus theta is cos theta, so I am ignoring the minus. And here you have minus j sine 3 pi by 2. Now what are these values? You can apply this pi value. This can be written as pi plus pi by 2. So can you tell what is this, what these values are? So meanwhile, I'll draw what these are. Try to find this cos 3 pi by 2 minus j sine pi 3 pi by 2. You can write cos 3 pi by 2 as cos pi plus pi by 2, which you can write as cos pi plus pi by 2. and this also you can write as sine pi plus pi by 2. So these take negative values in the third quadrant. So you can find what are these values. If one of you get the answer, you can unmute and tell.
Sir J.
J, very good. Because you have a negative sign, so this will be anyway 0, and here you have sine pi plus pi by 2 is negative in the third quadrant. So here you have sine pi by 2 is j. So sine 3 pi by 2 will be minus j. You have a minus sign here, so that will become j. Okay, so that j will also come here. So what is x1? X1 was okay. X1 here. This we didn't write. So this is 2 minus j, right? Similarly, x2 is x of 2. That is what we have found now. That is 2 plus j. Am I right? If anything goes wrong, please tell. I assume that these are the values. Yeah, this 1 plus 2, 2 minus 2 plus j, it becomes 2 plus j. And similarly, you can find x of 3. Right? So 3 is the final value. I think this is x of 3, right? X of 2 is for n equal to 2. So this will be x of 3 for n equal to 3, and right, n equal to 0, 1, x of 2, I think n is taking value, x of 2, k is value. When, what will be x of 2? In that case, w raised to wn raised to k, wn raised to k, so k is 2, will be e raised to minus j2 pi by n 2 pi by 4 into k is now 3, anyhow 2 is 2 into n. So this 2 cancels, it becomes e raised to minus j2 pi by n. So this equation is what we have found just now is x of 3, and x of 2 will be, I'll write the equation of x of 2, sigma xn e raised to minus j pi. Here 2 into 2 is 4, 4 and 4 cancels, so minus j2 pi n. So for different values of n, if you give different values of n starting from 0, x of 2 become x of 0 is 1, so 1 into e raised to 0 1, so 1 plus x of 1, capital X of 1 will be find capital X of 1, substitute here. Let's write it here. 0. Waiting for x of 2, you're finding x of 2. For n equal to 1, you find what is the value. So e raised to minus j pi is cos pi plus j sin pi. Cos pi plus j sin pi. So what is that value? Minus 1. So that is minus 1. Minus 1, that is minus 1 into, here you have 0. So this should be interchanged, 0 into minus 1. Plus 1 into e raised to minus j pi into, this is having second value, e raised to 2 pi. So that is basically 1. So this is 1 into 1 plus again 1 into e raised to minus j 2 pi, and this is again 1. Yeah. So this is minus 1, 1 and minus, this is 0, this becomes 0, this become 1. So you have 1 plus 1 plus 1, 3. Am I right? So you have 3, x of 3 you have found as x of 2 is again 3, right? X of 1 you have find as 2 minus j. Actually you cannot plot it here, but you can represent it as this is having value 2 minus j, and x of 3 is 2 plus j. So this is what you get. You have x of plus j, 3, 2 minus j, 3 and 2 plus j. These are the values. Is that clear to you? So if you find the magnitude of this, so let us find the magnitude. I'll write it here. Okay. Don't just bother about this now. We are continuing. We have 3, 2 minus j, 3 and 2 plus j. This is the xk that we have got. This is the xk that we have got. And you can find the magnitude of this. The magnitude of this is mod xk, capital Xk. How do you find that? Magnitude of 3 is 3. Magnitude of 2 minus j is root of 2 square plus 1. 2 square plus 1. 1 square. Plus, this is again 3. Again, this is also root of 4 square plus 1, which is root 5. So the magnitude of this is 3 root 5, 3 root 5. So that is xk. Now from this, how will you exactly find the frequency corresponding to? How will you exactly find the frequency corresponding to this DFT? So DFT, you know, it is the frequency domain representation of your discrete time signal. Discrete time Fourier transform is the actual representation. DFT is an abstract representation in which not all the omegas and not all the periods are taken. So how will you exactly find which frequency is present? Or if you get a DFT like this, you got a magnitude plot like this. So if you plot the magnitude of x of k, your plot will be at 0 you have a value 3, at 1 you have some value, say root 5, at 2 you have a value again 3, 3 years we have value. Okay. Um, so if you get this magnitude like this, what does these values basically represent in terms of frequency? That is another question that arises. Uh, do you have time to so let us see. This is basically from 0 to 2 pi. This is basically from 0 to 2 pi. We have taken just 4 samples from 0 to 2 pi, and that may not be good enough for some applications. So let us assume that you have okay. Mm, suppose that you have an DFT of an audio signal. Suppose you take say 1024 point DFT. Here you have taken 4 point DFT. Suppose you have taken 1024 point DFT. So starting from 0 to 1023, you have several values. Suppose this is 5. You have several values. Okay. These are the 1024 point DFT or endpoint DFT where n is 1024. 1, 2, 3 like that. So you are assuming that your xn is 1023. That is, it is the basic audio samples. You have an audio signal, and audio signal is basically an analog signal. So when it is sampled, you get several samples like this. It may go to negative as well. Whatever it is, you get several samples. Each of the samples are represented as discrete or in a digital. It can be converted to digital format. One using 10111 like that, depending on the number of bits you use. Suppose you have say 16-bit representation. In that case, each of these levels they are converted into 16 bits. So each sample is represented by 16 bit. So similarly, you have whatever I have shown here is capital Xk, and suppose you have a signal xn which is also 1024 point. Normally audio signals will contain say a song may contain lakhs of samples. So if you have say if you take small portion of the song, in that small portion, suppose that you have 1024 point. In that case, xn has 1024 points, and if you take 1024 point DFT, you get capital Xk as 0, 1, 2, 3 like this. You have several values. This is the magnitude. Okay, assuming that this is the magnitude. You take this point. This corresponds to 2 pi in omega axis, and if you're considering it as f, this corresponds to sampling frequency fs. So if your audio signal is sampled at say 44.1 kilohertz, why it is 44.1 kilohertz? According to Niki's criteria, if you are sampling audio signals, you should sample with a value which is higher than the twice the maximum frequency present. So audio range is up to 20 kilohertz. So twice of that is 40 kilohertz. So normally for minimum to clearly hear all the sounds, you need to sample above 40 kilohertz. Normally 44.1 kilohertz is used as sampling rate for normal audio processing. So in that case, this become 44.1 kilohertz. This point become 44.1 kilohertz. Now, can you tell what will be this frequency correspond? What will be this frequency? Can one of you unmute and tell? What is the frequency corresponding to this, as we have already seen for a DFT? Or at least can you tell what will be the omega 1 here? Omega 1. This is the first sample, right? So that will be, here you have till 0 to 2 pi. So each interval will be 2 pi by 1024. You have 1002 pi by 1024. So this omega 1 will be 2 pi by 1024. So if you see any spike here, suppose you have very high value at say kth point, so that frequency can be found by 2 pi by 1024 into that kth value. If it is 8 point, you multiply it with 8, and the value that you get is the angular frequency corresponding to it. So from angular frequency, you can find the actual frequency. So this is how you find which all frequencies are present in a given signal, say a given audio signal or whatever it is. I think we can conclude with this. You would have gotten. Okay, let us. So what we saw today is how to find discrete Fourier transform. We have already seen that discrete Fourier transform is the sampled and one period version of the discrete time Fourier transform, and the sampling is done such that all the information is kept, not all like when you have DFT, you get the samples of DTFT, and that is represented. And how to find DTFT, we took an example of xn, four value xn. We found the 4-point DFT of that signal xn. We found that it is a complex number, and when we plot the magnitude of capital Xk, basically what we are getting is the frequency contents corresponding to the signal xn. So when you apply this for some audio signals, real-time applications for audio signals, when you take the DFT and plot the absolute or magnitude of that signal, what you are going to get is the frequency components of the signal. So 0 to 2 pi will be mapped to 0 to fs in terms of frequency, where fs is the sampling rate. And if you have some spikes at say 10th point, you can find that that 10th point corresponds to frequency 2 pi by fs, where fs is the sampling rate, into 10. That gives the actual frequency corresponding to the signal. So this is how you find the actual frequency corresponding to a signal using DFT. Okay. So I think with this we can wrap around today's class. I'll upload the okay, I'll stop recording now.